We're live with Joel Diaz, trainer Timothy Bradley, Omar Figueroa, and most recently Victor Ortiz. But the guy that I'm excited to talk to you about, Joel, is Fernando Carcamo. Joel?
Yes, sir. I'm right here. It's just cutting off a little bit.
Oh. I wanted to talk to you about Carcamos, man. I'm really excited. I like what he did on ESPN's Boxino. He's in tough in his next fight with Miguel Silky Smooth. He's a mover, definitely a cutie in the ring while he still gets hit. How do you expect this fight to go?
No more than 5 rounds. Honestly, I can tell you that right now. I was talking to Fernando Carcamo just last night, and I know Silky Smooth very well. I've seen him in another fight before, and then watching him that night against Mendoza. I mean, really, Mendoza never threw a jab. He was just trying to knock his head out, and he was just being aggressive, just shooting overhand, hook. I mean, no coordination on Mendoza, and Mendoza really gave him his run for his money in the later rounds. But Fernando is a different fighter. Fernando is a different style. He can box. He switches lefty, righty. He can move forward. He can move backwards. And this guy has a very solid punch. Once he hurts you, he can hurt you. I just think the Silky Smooth is in for a good fight.
Now, Joel, we didn't really get to see if Fernando had an overhand right. Do you feel that he hit as hard as he does with his left with his right hand as well?
Yes, he does, because I see him train every day. When I have him and Omar Figueroa spar, sometimes I think, man, I need to have a precision ringside, because these guys, I mean, they don't move an inch forward or an inch back. They're just in the center of the ring, just hitting each other with some heavy punches. I mean, that's the reason why I had to cut that sparring, because I didn't want either or both of them get hurt, because they both hit extremely hard, and I mean, they hit with both hands, left and right.
I'm gonna go back on you getting involved there with the sparring, but if Carcamos is successful with Miguel Silky Smooth, he's in for what's going to be a tough fight with Petrov. What's your thoughts on Peter Petrov or Petrov? I don't know. This guy's name, I can't pronounce
Peter
it.
Petrov?
Yep.
Peter Petrov is a tough kid, man. Peter Petrov is the only fighter in the entire tournament that concerns me. Why? Because he's tough. I mean, his fight last Friday against the Russian kid, it was a great fight. I mean, as a matter of fact, I don't watch much boxing unless you're my fighter, and unless you're not in a big fight. I don't watch boxing. And I was in the dressing room in the first round. I came and sat ringside to watch the fight because it was such a great fight. I haven't seen a fight like that in a while. But the only difference in the fight, they both had the same tactic. First, second round, Petrov changed it up a little bit by using more common sense. He was using more knowledge than just his heart. And that made a change in the fight. Now, him and Fernando Carcamo is going to be a tough fight, because they both can hit, and they can both stay in there and exchange. I think a little bit of a difference will be Fernando's reach, because Fernando's a little taller, a longer reach, and I'm gonna have to avoid Peter Petrov's right hand, which is a very devastating one. And we're working on all that stuff. We watch every fighter, and we work on it at the gym. By the time we go to the fight, we're ready to go. I just see that fight with Peter Petrov is gonna be a great fight with Fernando Carcamo. It's gonna be a great fight.
Switching topics a little bit before I pass you off to one of my co-hosts. Are you as confident as I am that Timothy Bradley is going to win the Pacquiao fight, and I'll give you my reason why. I feel that if it's true that he had 2 broken ankles and he was able to do what he did, whether or not you thought he won the fight or he lost the fight, he was still able not to get knocked down, roll with Pacquiao shots on 2 broken ankles. So are you as confident as me that if we get 100% Timothy Bradley, we get a Marquez-style victory, the way that Timothy Bradley outpointed Marquez so easily?
Let me tell you something. Sometimes in every single one of the fights that we come to, I talk to the media, and it annoys me. Annoys me to look at the faces of the people doing interviews with me, and they ask me the question. And I'm as confident as I'm always are, and I tell them in the face, we're going to win this fight. And they look at me like, yeah, right, okay. You know, I know inside their mind they always doubt me. But I'm going to guarantee you on this, Timothy's confidence level and the way he is hitting right now, we're going to win this fight 100%. I have no doubt in my mind. I'm going to come to Vegas walking tall with all the confidence in the world. But confidence is not only the main thing. Preparation, the determination. Tim Bradley today, just so that you know, we're walking in the gym and we're training, and he trains hard. And I tell him, hey, you gotta slow down, coach. I'm not. I'm gonna keep going. Hey, relax. You gotta conserve you. Tomorrow you're gonna spar again. Come on, coach. Let's do this shit. Let's keep working. He goes, coach, this guy cannot outsmart me. He cannot outpunch me. He goes, when I fought him the first fight, when I came to the corner after the second round, I told myself, this is the best in the world? Come on. He says, I guarantee you, coach, if I had my feet 100% that day, I would have made it more decisive. He says, this time, I guarantee you that the only way he beats me puts me to sleep, and he's not going to do it. The way we've been working on right now with Bradley, the plan of attack that we got, and the way he's putting it together, because he's visualizing, he's been in the ring with him already, you're going to see a different Bradley, and you're going to see a different outcome that is going to completely change the whole world around. And all those people that came around and said, oh, well, Timothy, they're going to come around and say, good job. But we already know. We already know who we're facing and what we're going against. We always go against all odds. But in this one, I guarantee you that we're going to come out of that ring victorious with no controversy.
Well, I'm going to pass you to one of my co-hosts, but just remember, when you do win, I picked you with confidence today. I just told you that.
Definitely. Sir, believe me. I know the people that really mean it from the heart, and I know the people that don't. And you're one of the ones that are always, every time I talk to you, you're always shit out with me, and I never forget that.
Now, Joel, it just seems like the theme of this fight so much so is being Pacquiao's killer instinct. It's being talked about, he's going to get his killer instinct back. But it's funny because in the Marquez fight, when he got knocked out, supposedly he got that killer instinct back and he was too aggressive and he got knocked out. Which one is it? Do you think they're just running out of ideas now? Do you think Pacquiao is what he is? He can't really change right now.
Pacquiao's never going to change. Pacquiao is a fighter that at this point of his career, Pacquiao is the same fighter. And believe me, he's going to run into problems. I guarantee you right now that the other fight, April 12th, he's going to run into some problems. Why? Because he's not going to change. He's always going to be the same. Gets that killer instinct when he sees that he has a target in front of him. He throws punches and bunches when you're standing in front of him. Bradley's not going to stand in front of him like a target that does not move. Tim is going to make him run into problems every time. And believe me, he is going to hurt him this time. Tim is going to hurt Pacquiao this time. For some reason, I'm as surprised as the people are going to be that night just to know how Timothy Bradley's punching. And I'm telling you right now, Tim, early in his career, a few fights ago, he would throw a lot of punches, a lot of slaps, no effect with his punches, but speed that would throw any fighter off with his footwork and ability to punch and execute the strategy. For now, Timothy is hitting extremely hard, he is conserving his punches, but he's landing the effective ones. And Manny Pacquiao is reckless. And like Timothy said, Coach, I'm smarter than he is. He can outsmart me. He's going to run into problems that night. That's going to be a fight that people are going to watch because Tim Bradley's going to make history that night. I guarantee you.
Now, it seems as though in the first fight, the first 2 rounds, you had a good game plan until Timothy hurt his feet. Can you use that same game plan, or is the game plan going to change this time around? Is it going to be a lot different? Are you going to try different things, or can you just do what you normally do and what you did in June?
Coming back to camp, we came back to the same plan. We got the same plan of attack. We got the same plan, the same strategy for Manny Pacquiao. The only difference is Timothy Bradley has matured. He built his confidence level. He's high. His confidence level is high after beating the guy that knocked out Manny Pacquiao. After going a war with Ruslan Provodnikov. Tim knows that, okay. And Tim Bradley, when he fought Ruslan Provodnikov, Timothy Bradley went from 185 to 147. And the day of the weigh-ins, I had to bring him to a sauna. He was dehydrated a little bit. He told me, he goes, Coach, I was dehydrated because I never done this before. But the fact that he was inactive since June to December, because of his feet, he didn't have much activity. He gained a lot of weight. Timothy Bradley, when he fought Ruslan Provodnikov, dehydration was a big factor. That's why he got hurt with those punches in the ring. He told me, Coach, if I wasn't dehydrated, I would never got hurt, even though he hit me hard. Now, coming into the Marquez fight, he gained a lot of weight because he was concussed. He was not in the gym for a couple months. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't run. He couldn't do anything that he was doing after the fight with Marquez. After he beat Marquez, we came back home Sunday. Monday, he was riding his bike. He was running the next day. Timothy Bradley right now, he's walking around at 158. Right now. Today he walked out at 158. When before, he was at 180, 178 at this point around before a fight. Before, Tim Bradley was focusing 50% on the weight and 50% on the strategy of the fight. Now we're focusing 90% on strategy, 90% on the fight, and 10% on the weight because the weight is not an issue. It's not a factor anymore.
Now, because he had to lose so much weight, was he dehydrated at all during that fight with Provodnikov? Do you think that was why he, those shots had so much effect on him?
Yes, sir. He told me. Even before, when we walked in the ring, he told me later, he goes, hey, Coach, I knew I was dehydrated because walking into that ring, I remember I punched myself a little bit on the chin, like I always do to feel it. And I felt like, whoa, I ate myself a little bit. Because I knew, he knew that I remember there was a point in time where he got stuck at 163 and he couldn't lose any more weight. And he went to his house and I see him walking in the gym and I go, Tim, are you all right? He goes, yeah, Coach, I'm all right. I go, no, something's wrong with you. I go, no, I'm fine. After that, I go home, and I'll go talk to you later. So then I go to his house, and he's in his backyard. He's in the backyard sitting by himself with his little girl. So I go, Tim, talk to me. I see something's wrong with something. He goes, Coach, I've been struggling for the last 2 weeks, and I'm still in the same weight. I'm at 163. I can't drop anymore. And it was like 2 weeks before the fight. I said, Tim, you should have told me this before. So then I brought in a friend, which is a nutritionist, and told him, hey, Tim, this is what you're going to do. That day it was a Monday. I remember it was a Monday, and I told him, you should have told me this. He goes, Coach, for the past 2 weeks, I've been at 163. I can't lose a pound. So I brought my friend in, and then that was a Monday. By Wednesday, he was at 158. So that was a relief for him. And then we went from there, little by little, until I'm telling you that the other weigh-ins, something that Timothy has never done in his career, I had to take him to the sauna early morning to lose weight, to make the weight. There's a lot of things that people don't know that happen behind the scenes that create the situations that happen in fights. But Tim Bradley's feet, I have pictures of his feet. As soon as we got out of the Manny Pacquiao fight with that ring, I go to the dressing room, I take off his shoes, and I took pictures of his feet. They're real swelled up. And I don't have the ability to show the whole world Timothy's feet after the fight because you can tell how swollen they were, especially the right foot. and he still came 12 rounds, and Pacquiao couldn't even touch him because he was throwing punches and punches and missing every single punch. Commentators influenced the fans on TV by saying, and another left hand by Pacquiao, another left hand by Pacquiao, and that left hand never landed. Timothy's face was clean at the end of the night.
I agree. I'm going to ask you one last question before I pass you along to one of my other co-hosts. Now, Omar Figueroa, great talent, but takes a lot of shots in there. Are you concerned at all with that? And is that something that you're working on, trying to tighten up his defense a little bit?
You know, this guy is so unique and so different. He has a defense of his own that all I can tell him is, Omar, you got to roll the shoulders more. You have to roll under the punches more. He goes, I do, coach. I don't get hit. On the fight with Arakawa, people think that his defense was weak. I mean, he was always rolling under those punches. Arakawa was just touching him here and there, but never. I mean, maybe caught him one time with one good punch through the whole fight. I watched the fight like 2-3 times because it bothered me that they're saying that his defense was poor. So I go back and watch the fight 2-3 times. His face was just scratched up, and if you know, the cut over the nose was a headbutt, but only one punch landed very nice and clean. Other than that, Omar was always moving his shoulders, rolling under punches. It's because he has a unique style. You will never see a style like Omar Figueroa unless you come and see him train and work. I mean, I can't change him. That works for him. I tried to change him at some point, and he tells me, Coach, I can, because if I do this, this will happen. And he explains to me in his own way, and what he does, it works for him. I guarantee you, Canelo's brother is nowhere near the level of Omar Figueroa. Omar Figueroa, honestly, if everything is good, I have to take care of his hands most of all. Canelo's brother would not last 3 rounds in the ring with Omar Figueroa.
Okay.
Hey, Joel, I just want to jump in real quick. Being that the controversy in the first fight, I mean, how decisive do you have to be now? Not only because you got the first fight and people think you lost, but there's still that MayweatherPacquiao fight in everyone's mind, and there's still a lot of people out there that want it to happen. How decisive do you have to be in this fight from the first one?
Very. We have to make it very clear. We have to make it very decisive because I'm a very honest person, and I'll tell you straight out, you know, if we go the distance and the fight is close, we are not going to win because boxing is a business. And in this case, Manny Pacquiao is a cash cow. He's the guy that the promoters are looking ahead to make more money because there's fights for Manny Pacquiao out there that can generate millions and millions of dollars. Unfortunately, Tim Bradley doesn't have that draw. So going to a distance with a Manny Pacquiao, and if the fight is close, it's close or, you know, go either way, we are not going to win. And we have that in mind, that we have to win this fight very decisive. We have to win rounds and show the people that we're in control of the fight from the beginning, most of all.
When you were in New York, I spoke to you about, this whole drug testing drama that's going down. It's clear that Tim's doing VADA. Do you guys have any idea what's going on with Manny Pacquiao's side?
We really don't. You know, Tim Bradley's always been unfortunate when it comes down to decisions. You know, the business has always been against us. The odds are always been against us. So we just have to take whatever they throw at us. I mean, I just think that it should have been the right move to take VADA, both fighters. But there's always somebody interfering. No, we don't need VADA. We're going to go with Nevada State Athletic Commission testing and whatnot. Timothy says, you know what? I will never hide anything. You know what? I'll do VADA for myself, and I'll do Nevada State Athletic Commission test as well. Timothy's doing both tests. Pacquiao is only doing Nevada State Athletic Commission testing. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know, but there's always doubt. But I hope they take care of it. I hope they take care of it because a lot of things have changed in Manny Pacquiao's performance since some of the team members are not around that he had in the past. I mean, I didn't see a spectacular Manny Pacquiao against Brandon Rios. Even Brandon Rios in his interview, he says, he never hurt me with any punches. He hit me with everything. He never hurt me. It's just his speed. I mean, I remember when he fought Margarito, every time he hit Margarito in the face, he crushed his bones. When he fought Miguel Cotto, he crushed his face. De La Hoya, a big Oscar De La Hoya, I mean, he just demolished him. And all of a sudden, he has a fighter in front of him, a tough, strong kid that is right there willing to fight, and he's getting hit with everything, and he's not doing any damage to him. So, there's a lot of doubts. There's a lot of doubts in our minds and whatnot, but, we've always been clean. We've always been fair with the world of boxing, even though sometimes we don't get the credibility that we deserve. But we're still gonna keep fighting against all odds, and we're gonna give people what they want to see. I mean, whatever happens in the business is happening. They put it their way. They said it their way. We're just gonna go fight, and whatever obstacles are in the way, we're gonna jump them through. And
the reason I say that, because don't you find it weird that Vada was used in our last fight with Brandon Rios, and now we're back to Vegas, and it's not the same thing? And did that at all factor in you guys taking this fight, and with Tim actually, re-signing with Top Rank, being that this happened with the Marquez fight?
Going back to the way Bradley's been treated in the sport of boxing, there's times in which either you take it or leave it. And sometimes we have to take it because we don't have other options. You know what I'm saying? Like Bradley, if he didn't sign another 2 years with Top Rank, we were not going to fight Manny Pacquiao. So those are serious decisions that we have to make, that Tim Bradley has to make. And what is there? If Timothy don't fight Manny Pacquiao, what is there for Tim Bradley right now? As far as the promotion, as far as the promoter, there's nobody out there for him right now. If Timothy wouldn't have taken this fight, we were going to go back and maybe wait around and see what happens and who's available. So we have to take the best possible chances that we can take, even though all the odds are against us, and we have to go by their rules. Sometimes it's like, okay, we're not going to use VADA. We're going to use Nevada State Athletic Commission. I mean, if we start crying to the world that, okay, he's not taking this and not taking that, I mean, we're going to look bad. So at the end of the day, Tim says, you know what, Coach? Whatever it is, man, let's do it. I mean, only God knows. God knows we're clean. God knows we're doing everything straight. We just have to work a little harder, push it a little harder, and, get in there and beat them.
And I know you're his trainer, so you really might not factor into business decisions, but wouldn't that be like a prime reason for Tim to go maybe the Golden Boy, being that there are fights there and there is a guy named Floyd Mayweather out there?
Well, there is. But, what guarantees you that there's a fight with Mayweather? I mean, Mayweather is his own boss. Mayweather chooses who he fights and who not. Nothing's for sure in life. I mean, I'm his trainer, and I give him advices. I don't tell him what to do, because I'm the type of person that if something goes wrong, I don't want him to turn around and point the finger and say, Coach, you told me to make the decision. I just give him an advice. Going to Golden Boy, I told him, Tim, this is the purse they're paying you to fight with Top Rank. Okay, this is what they're giving you. Okay, you make up your own decisions. You're an adult. Okay, you're a man. You're not a kid anymore. I said, how many fights do you have to fight to make that amount of money in Golden Boy promotion? 3 fights, maybe 4 fights, to make what you're making in 1 fight. And every fight that you're fighting is a risky fight. He says, you're right. And then this is the minimum that Top Rank is giving you per fight, regardless of who you fight for the next 2 years. Are you going to make that fighting fighters in the other promotion? Because you never know for sure if you're going to fight Mayweather. And if you do, are you going to make that amount of money? Boxing is a business. At the end of the day, you have to make money and walk away from it. Secure your future. There's a lot of decisions that a fighter needs to sit down and analyze. Am I going to make the right decision? Am I going to make the wrong decision? At the end of the day, if he makes the right or wrong decision, he's going to get criticized. but only he knows. Timothy has been making decisions that people think are bad, and at the end of the day, they've been right. They've been good decisions he's been making. So I really don't tell him what to do and what not to do. I give him an advice, and he finally decides himself.
So, Joel, hey, it's James, man. I kind of want to bring it to the newest member of your team, Victor Ortiz. How did that partnership match up, and kind of explain to what happened with that and why you're willing to take him under your wing when so many people are writing him off?
I'm going to be honest with everybody, the whole world of boxing. I don't know, sometimes people tell me, you're so nice, you don't say no. I mean, people come to you and you say no. I have a full stable. I have a lot of great, talented fighters, and I give everybody their space. I give everybody their time. I go to 4 gyms on a daily basis, 4 gyms. I go to Timothy's gym in the morning. I go to the Boys and Girls Club, and then I go to my gym, the other Boys and Girls Club, and then at 7:30 at night, I go to Cub Swanson's gym, an MMA gym. I get home at 9 o'clock every day. But talking about Victor Ortiz, Diego Magdaleno, which is a good friend of Victor, at one point, I was asked if I was to train Victor Ortiz, which was maybe a year ago. I said, you know what, sure, I'll train him. But Victor Ortiz wanted me to go to Ventura and train him over there, and I said, you know what, with all your respect, my house is here. If you want to come to my camp, my doors are open to you. I cannot leave my fighters. I have fighters here. I cannot leave my fighters to go train you specifically in your comfort of your own home. And he said, okay, Mr. Diaz, appreciate that, hopefully we can work in the future. Okay, that said, never heard from them again. The day that he lost the fight to Colasso, Diego Magdaleno was in my living room, sitting next to me, watching the fight. I didn't say nothing, but as soon as Victor walked in the ring, I knew something was wrong. Honestly, I told Diego, he goes, what do you think, Coach? I don't know, man. He don't look good. After Diego and Jesse Magdaleno fought, they fought on Saturday. On a Wednesday, they called me. They said, Coach, we're going to go down from Vegas. We're going to drive from Vegas to Indio to visit you. I said, sure. He says, I'm going to bring a friend. Somebody wants to see you. I said, okay. Never thought it was Victor. I get to the gym, and Victor was already there talking to my brother Antonio. And he goes, hey, Coach, how you doing? And, all right. He says, hey, is it okay if I train here today? I said, sure, man. This is your house. Go ahead. I was training Omar Figueroa at the time. They were doing a Showtime was doing a little thing recording Omar Figueroa, following him around for 2 days. So they were there that day. And then when they saw Victor, they were focused on Victor as well. But I was training Omar. So then Victor started training. I saw him in the ring. I got in the ring, and I said, you know what, Victor? I mean, you're not throwing your punches right. You're not doing this right. And he goes, so then I got the mitts, and I started doing mitts with him. And I started showing him the right way of punching, the right way of keeping his distance, the right way of moving. And he goes, wow, this is new to me. He says, this is exactly the words he told me. He says, this is something nobody's ever told me before. I said, really? I said, you're throwing your punches way too high. I mean, you're stepping into close. You're not using your distance. I mean, he goes, well, nobody ever told me this. Everybody just told me to throw and, this. I said, really? Well, so he left. He went to eat with his friends. When I got done with Omar Figueroa, he came back. And he said, can I talk to you? Sure. We went in the office, and he says, I love this environment. I love the way you train. And then Diego told him, but remember this, Joel is the type of trainer that he's the boss. You're not the boss. He runs the show here. So don't even try to think that, oh, Coach, can I hit the bag only 2 rounds? Because it's not going to happen. He's going to tell you, you're going to hit the bag 6 rounds, or you're going to hit the bag 6 rounds. And if you're tired, you're not going to go 4 or 3 rounds. You're going to go 6. Then he goes, that's the way I like about him, that he has that aggressive motivation, that he will put it out of you. I said, you know what, Victor, this is the way it is. I'm your friend outside the gym. I'm your coach in the ring, in the gym. I run the show. I'm aggressive because I love to win. I said, if you want to come here and train, I can take care of you here. I can have your apartment over here, and we'll go for it. He goes, I love it. I love the environment. I love everything here. I love the way you train. I said, okay. He left. I have not heard from him since last week until earlier today. He texts me and says, hey, Coach, when can we start? So I have not returned a message. I will later on. I will call him and talk to him and go from there. But the reason why I want to take Victor Ortiz is because I love challenges. I love challenges. And I see this kid. And while I was talking to him, I noticed that this kid came up because he has a lot of natural ability, but he needs a lot of help. He needs work. He needs a lot of work. He needs a lot of correction. And I'm a type of person that I never give up. And I'm up to the challenge. I love challenges in life. And if this is a challenge, I've been against all odds with Tim Bradley. Even if I'm against all odds with Victor, I'm going to give it a run. I'm going to give it a try. Because at the end of the day, you know what? He needs help. And a lot of people criticize him. That's fine. Maybe I can pass on some of my energy into him and change him as a fighter. And not only as a fighter, as a person, mentally. I know a lot of people say that you were born with it, but you need somebody that can give you that voice of command. You got to listen to that voice. Like Timothy Bradley says, you know what, Coach, I'm going to tell you something. If it wasn't for you, when I fought Manny Pacquiao and I broke my ankle, if you would have said, Tim, I'm going to stop the fight, I would have agreed with you. But the way you responded, I said, okay, let's do it. When Miguel Angel Vasquez broke his rib in the second round, Timothy fought with a broken rib for 10 rounds. He says, if you would have told me, hey, Tim, let's stop it, I'll stop it, I would have agreed with you. He says, when I fought Ruslan Provodnikov, same thing. I was hurt, and you kept talking to me. You kept aggressive on me. He says, man, a lot of fights, man, I could have lost if you weren't in my corner. But I never panic under pressure. I do not crumble, because if I crumble, my whole entire team crumbles. I always try to be the main column of my building. I hold everybody. And I think that I can do something with Victor, and I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to give it a try. Believe me. I want to try it because I love the challenge. I like the negativity of the people when they say, oh, you don't have the heart, you don't have this, you don't have that. You know that right there? Let's give a person an opportunity in life. Let's give them another chance. Like humans that we are, like people that we are, and professionals that we are, I will not turn him down. I will not look at him in the face and say, you know what, Victor? No, I'm not going to train you because people say you don't have it. On the other hand, I'll say, you know what, Victor, let's give it a try. But we're going to go 100%, and you're going to give me the best of you, and I'll give you the best of me. And we're going to go from there. If that's the way it's going to work, I'm going to give the best from me to him so he can give me the best from him.
Thanks a lot. That's crazy. So you say you love challenges, and obviously Omar and Tim do last year because they were both in the Fight of the Year candidate fights. Kind of wondering, I remember distinctly in both of those fights you were kind of screaming at both Omar and Tim saying, listen to me, stick to the game plan. So with that said, when you're in the corner and you're giving them instructions, are you there as the trainer, or when you kind of sit back and you start watching the fights, are you kind of more proud that they're willing to kind of go to war and die on their shield to prove how tough they are for you and, I guess, themselves?
Both. I'm there watching the fight, and I'm there fighting the fight with them because I love the fight game. I'm fighting the fight with them. I mean, I was a fighter myself, and I've always liked the fight game. And I love it. I mean, if there's blood, I love it. I like to work. If there's blood, I love to see blood. But you know what? As long as my fighter's in control, and as long as my fighter is composed and listening to my instructions, I'm good. I get more motivated. My confidence elevates. If my fighters are even if they're full of blood, but they're composed and they're dominating and they're controlling the fight, that elevates my confidence to keep bringing that energy to them.
All right, so I'm going to pass you back to our host, Ness. Ness, take it away, bud.
Well, Joel, we want to thank you for taking the time out to give us this interview. Like I said, I'm really excited to see Carcamo's on March 28th, and hope that he makes it to the finals. Everybody's going to be excited for Manny Pacquiao and Bradley. Again, thank you, and if you have any social media, I believe you have a Twitter, so it's best to say it now so that it's confirmed and people know that that's you.
Yeah, that is my Twitter, yeah. You
want to give it out?
And I also I also have a Facebook page. It's Joel Diaz Boxing at gmail.com. So I also have a fan page. People can contact me. My Twitter is at Joel Diaz Boxing.
All right. Well, best of luck with you, and I can't wait to see what you do with Victor Ortiz, man. You've been a great guest, and you have a good night.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Thank you, man. Take care.
Good night, Joel.